Hello fellow Earthlings, it's Libs, and it's time for another episode of Reading Around the World Through Books, which I guess is reading around the world implies books. So I filmed this introduction 6 months ago, so I have some wine with me to keep me sane. I cannot tell you why this reading vlog has taken me 6 months. I read 3 books, and for some reason life got away from me. I was overseas for a month. I had family stuff, I had uni stuff, I had writing stuff. I just did the worst job at reading the 3 books I'm about to introduce to you. So the 3 books I decided to read for this reading vlog were The Mountains Sing, which is a Vietnamese novel, which is kind of a bit like Pachinko in that it follows a family through the matriarchs as they're forced to leave their home. And that's all I'll tell you in this introductory portion. I have to film the ending after this, so that'll be fun. Book number 2 is Portrait of an Unknown Lady, which is an Argentinian book about sort of like an art heist / art history mystery kind of thing. And then from Nigeria, I read My Sister the Serial Killer, which is a book that was very popular a couple of years ago and is about a main character whose sister keeps killing the men she's dating, and now she's dating someone our main girl has kind of been in love with for years. So the footage from this vlog is sparse. It's taken me a long time, but again, I don't want to pick different books, particularly because one of these books in particular was so incredible that to not have it feels wrong. So let's get started. I am about halfway through The Mountain Sings, and oh boy, is this sad. It reminds me quite a lot of Pachinko or maybe Middlesex. It reminds me of Pachinko or Middlesex because it's kind of this very sad, trauma-filled, multi-generational story involving having to leave one's home. So, I mean, I love these kinds of stories, so I knew I was going to enjoy this book. But yeah, it's a lot of trauma at the moment, so I'm hoping for a happy ending. But because yeah, these kinds of books tend to be 50-50 on the happy ending side of things. So we are only 1 book into this video and I already feel like it's a total disaster. Mainly because I filmed me reading book 1 months ago and then life happened and I just kind of forgot that I was making this video. So I can't remember what I've said about The Mountain Sing, but it's pretty much, and we're halfway through December now, but I'm saying with confidence that it's my favourite book of the year. I absolutely adored The Mountain Sing. I don't know what I really said in my earlier clips. I don't think I did a good job talking about it, so I'm going to talk about it here. This is a Vietnamese book. It is sort of a multi-generational story following sort of the matriarchs in the family, looking at the trauma from the landowners' reforms and also the trauma of the Vietnam War. You're mainly following the grandmother and the granddaughter, and it kind of reminds me of Pachinko in the sense it's following the women in the family. They have to move. There's a lot of trauma and a lot of pain. It is the most stunningly written book I've probably ever read. I adore this book, and there's just not hype about it, and I want everyone to read this book. It is magnificent. I specifically wanted to read it because I knew I was going to Vietnam. I was in Vietnam for 3 weeks. Incredible, beautiful, magnificent, and I'm so glad I read this book before going. It's just chef's kiss. I really want a physical copy because it's just such a magnificent book. So that was book 1 for this video that I've definitely finished. And I'm determined to wrap this video up soon because everything got derailed. So I'm on to book 2. I'm about a third of the way through, and I am currently reading Portrait of an Unknown Lady by Maria Gainza. This book, which is just so beautiful. This is set in Argentina. It is translated from the Spanish by Thomas Bunstead, or Steed. It's kind of about art fraud. So you've got this young woman who is working at the office where they authenticate art, and there's this older woman working there who kind of is teaching her about art fraud, and they're getting into a bit of art fraud. So I'm not really sure where this goes. I think it's kind of exploring both of their lives. There are some bits where I'm not sold on the writing, but I think that's just the awkwardness of the translation. But I'm definitely interested to see where this book is going, because I'm kind of just, like, I'm intrigued, but I can't really figure out where it's going. I'm wondering if they're going to get caught, or if someone's going to betray them, because there's kind of like a group doing it. So I'm curious to see where this goes, and I'm glad I'm reading it because this is one of the books that came out this year that I have on my list of books I really want to read and read this year, because I've been doing I started TikTok finally, I guess, and I've kind of been wrapping up some of the best books that were released this year, so I'm trying to kind of plow through a few more so that I can keep doing that. So I'll link my TikTok down below. It's just Libs Reads, but I'll catch up with you when I'm kind of halfway through the book. Also, how do we like these little Christmassy earrings I got? They've sparked a lot of joy, and they make me very happy. So I'm now about 2/3 of the way through Portrait of an Unknown Lady, and I'm kind of bored. I think I get where the book is going, but I never really feel any desire to pick it up once I put it down. I mean, I've been reading this book for, 2 months? And I know that normally it takes me quite a while to read my physical books. I tend to go through my audiobooks and then my ebooks, because they're from the library. I tend to read them a lot faster than the books I own. But it's really taking me a long time. I think I'm just gonna really knuckle down tonight and try and just get this book done. I'm not actively not liking it or anything. I feel very meh about it, which is not really what you want. So I'm hoping the end kind of pulls it together a bit more, because I would like to enjoy this book. So I finished reading Portrait of an Unknown Lady, and I didn't really like it that much. I mean, it was like an interesting concept. I like the setting, I like the world. It's just, I think you've got this young woman who's starting out in this art fraud world, who's very inspired by this older woman, and the old woman is telling her about kind of the heyday of the art schemes and frauds. And now our main character wants to find this particular woman that she's been told so much about, but she's kind of an enigma, and is trying to interview everyone who kind of ever knew her to find her. But it just kind of becomes so dull and boring. There's kind of a whole chapter, it's just her reading a case file, but you don't really know anyone in the case file very well, and it's just very, I don't know, it didn't do it for me. I didn't really end up enjoying it all that much, and yeah, I'm just a bit disappointed with it, really. So I am halfway through My Sister the Serial Killer, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it so far. It's not quite as, I guess, mysterious as I was expecting. So far, we know that the sister has killed 3 people, and she claims it's all self-defense, but there's no evidence that that is what's happened, and so our main character is kind of questioning whether her sister is just a serial killer and pretending that these bad things have happened to excuse what she has done. And yeah, we don't really know much else. The younger sister is now dating the man that our main character is very interested in, so it'll be curious to see where it goes from here. Okay, so I finished reading My Sister the Serial Killer last night, and it kind of went in the direction I was expecting it to go in, but it also kind of didn't, which I realise is extremely vague and not helpful, but if you want to know what happens in this book, you should read it. So I like it. It's a very quick book to get through. All the chapters are kind of like between 1 page and 5 pages, so you get through it really quickly. I'm learning this is something I'm very much enjoying. I know last year when I read All the Light We Cannot See, I very much enjoyed that aspect, that it was just really short chapters. Flew through that book even though it was long. This is quite a short book. I think it's only about 200 pages. Easy to fly through. It's not very mysterious. It's like, I liked it. I think it's sort of maybe a 3.5 star for me. It didn't, like, the language didn't necessarily engage me that much, even though the format did. And while I think it was an interesting story, I think it was quite predictable in a lot of ways. So like, I liked it, but I don't think it's really anything particularly groundbreaking. I feel quite similar with The Portrait of an Unknown Lady. I really liked the concept. I thought a book that's kind of about art history and art forgeries and everything would be for me, but I just think it dragged. There were chapters that were just utterly pointless and really, they could have been summarized in a page, but it went on and on, and it dragged so much. And it was a short book, but it took me so long to read it, and I just didn't. It's more of a 3 star maybe, because maybe a 2.5. The more I think about it, the less I like that book. It didn't do anything for me, and the setting doesn't save it. But on the other hand, we have the mountains sing, and if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that was my favourite book of last year. I absolutely loved it. It was incredible. If you like Pachinko, please read this book. It is even better. It is heartbreaking, it's devastating, it's just an emotional roller coaster. It's very anti-war, it's just full of love, and just, there are no words. I've said a lot of words, but there are no words for how beautiful and impacting this book is. I specifically wanted to read this book when I read it because I knew I was going to Vietnam, and I really wanted to read, a Vietnamese book, and I just kind of struggled to find books that I thought I was going to be interested in. I'd never want to read a book for one of these videos just because it's the only book available to me. If I can't find a book from a particular country, I will put it on the back burner and try again in a year or two in case there's some new publications. But I'm so glad I read this book. I thought it was going to be for me, and it's just the most spectacular, probably my favorite book of all time. I love it. If you're going to read any book I ever recommend ever, please make it be The Mountains Sing, because it is incredible. And that is it for this video. I have finally, 6 months later, finished this vlog, and I can start another one, which hopefully I will finish a little bit quicker than I did with this one. I think things are slowing down now and I can actually just enjoy reading again. So that'll be fun. Anyway, I will see you next time. Bye.